In this video, I'll show you how I made a unique Roblox obby with modifiers. After making my last game, I decided that I wanted to make an obby next. There are a lot of obbies on Roblox, so I wanted to make one that had a unique aspect to it. I also wanted to make it replayable, as opposed to an obby that players only play through once. The idea that I came up with was for a round-based game where obbies are randomly generated by combining multiple sections together, and where multiple modifiers are selected that affect the obby and its players every round. This idea was a result of the Properties panel in Roblox Studio. In Roblox, every object in the game has a list of properties that you can modify using scripts. This is how games move parts, turn them invisible, change their size, and more. And my idea was to have the game select some of these aspects to modify every round. I started off by creating a few platforms to test out my idea. After coming up with a list of modifiers, I learned how to use a dictionary, which is a type of table where a key pairs with a value. In this case, the name of the modifier is the key, and it pairs with a function that causes different things to occur in the obby. To have all of the code run at the same time, I learnt how to use Roblox's task system to create individual tasks that spawn and run concurrently. After this, I ran into my first problem. Upon adding platforms that moved and rotated using Roblox's tween service, I realized that the player didn't move along with the platforms. I tried a few different methods to try and fix this, and I eventually landed on using Roblox's align position and align orientation constraints. These constraints are physics-based, instead of only visual, meaning that the player moves along with the platforms. You can check out this tutorial that I watched to learn about this by the YouTuber Prize CP Roblox in the description. Once I had gotten moving platforms working, I had to make a couple of modifiers mutually exclusive, as having them run at the same time either didn't work or caused weird results. These included horizontally and vertically moving platforms, as well as moving platforms and conveyor platforms, since I couldn't figure out a way to make them both work at the same time. With all of the modifiers working properly, I then moved on to creating different sections for the obby. I did this by basing the sections off of common obstacles in obbies and adapting them to fit in the same sized area. This was necessary for them to be able to be modular and randomizable. I then wrote a function to randomly select 3 of the sections from a folder and position them one after the other to create a random obby. Since the game involves modifying platforms and players in unique ways, I thought that a fitting theme and setting for the game would be a science lab. As such, I spent a while creating a room for the obby to take place in, as well as a lobby area with a glass wall to look over the players playing the game. Players spawn in the lobby, and I use Roblox's team service to handle changing the player's spawn location from one area to the other. I also wanted to store players' wins, so I learnt how to use Roblox's built-in leaderboard system to do so. This was fairly straightforward, but getting this information to save when the player leaves and rejoins the game was a bit more difficult. I learnt how to use Roblox's data store service to do this, and you can check out the video that I followed by Blocks in the description. Finally, the last thing that I had to do was create the main game loop to handle generating the obby and the modifiers, and to handle running the rounds. I implemented GUI for players to tell them how much time they had left and how many players were remaining, and I also used Roblox's text chat service to send messages from the server to tell players when a player had beaten the obby. I also created a simple GUI that shows the modifiers being randomized before ending up with the selected ones. With that, the game was done. In this round, 3 random modifiers were chosen, including horizontal moving platforms, large players, and invisible platforms. You can check out the game in the description. I'm still new to making videos, so I'd appreciate any feedback you might have. Thanks for watching.